discover your source of unlimited energy? Remarkably, everything you think, feel, and do radiates a form of spiritual energy that surrounds the body. This is your aura. What does your aura say about you and your life? Is it possible to change your aura? And will these changes affect the quality of your life? Whether you see auras or not, Dimitri Moraitis thinks you can. Hi, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and welcome to Just Energy. Dimitri Moraitis is an accomplished metaphysical teacher, healer, and the co-author of Communing with the Divine, Karma and Reincarnation, The Healing Power of Your Aura, and Change Your Aura, Change Your Life. Hi, Dimitri. It is so nice having you back on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, I love your guys' work, and I'm so excited to talk to you about your new book, which I've totally lost. Oh, it's under my camera. Okay.
Change your aura, change your life.
Yeah, that book. So why write a book on the aura?
Well, this is actually an updated edition. This is actually our flagship book. We released this, the very first edition came in 2000, and the kind of widespread in 2003. And the reason is, not only is it an aura book, but it's a meditation book. So it's the foundation of all our teaching. We encourage anybody on the spiritual path to meditate. Follow whatever meditation is good for you. The one we recommend is the light meditations. And in teaching this material now for over 10 years, we learned a lot, of course, in working with people. And there was more information that wasn't in the original book that we put into this one, including things like the aura and evolution, and also, by the way, the color, the colors you wear in your clothing actually has an effect on your aura. So we added chapters that, and also a lot of people have been asking about children and meditation, and so it's just amazing how much more interest there is in the subject just in the last 10, 13 years.
Well, and I think many of my listeners are familiar with the concept of the aura. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say the concept, but I don't think many of them really understand what it does or what its function is. And I thought maybe you could explain.
Right. Well, that was, I think, why Barbara is such a pioneer in the field and why she's so well known for the aura, because it's not just about pretty colors. Oh, you're a blue, Rita, and I'm a green. And, it's not just about that. The aura is the energetic foundation of your soul. It is reflecting every single thing that is going on in your life. Right now, everything you're thinking, you're feeling, you're doing is radiating an energy, and this is fueling what you're able to do. We know it takes energy to do anything. Mm-hmm. The place you forge that energy is in your auric field. The reason we call it change your aura, change your life is if the energy is in the aura, by divine law, unless you've done something to disturb it, it will eventually show up in your life. And if it's not in your aura, you can change things to make it so it's there. So this is the energetic foundation for everything. It's a very, very powerful part of us.
Can it, you said that if it's not in your aura, this is things you can bring into your life.
Right.
Does it also work in the opposite way? If you're surrounded by a lot of negativity, or you're depressed, or have bad mojo, as I like to say, does that show up in your aura as well?
Oh, absolutely. Everything right now at this moment you're thinking and feeling is showing up in your aura. As far as reacting, what many people, the mistake they make is, first of all, nothing can enter your aura unless you're permitting it on some level. So too many times we play the role of the victim. We allow things to happen to us, not realizing we have the power to say no to it. So it's not what's happening in our life that's the measure of our spiritual maturity. It's how we're handling the challenges of life. So if life does throw you a curveball, but you deal with it, then that's brightening your energy field and enlightening your aura. In the same way, we have the power to initiate things. Every great thing done on this planet, every great that's brought society today, had to be initiated from a point where it did not exist. Beethoven was quoted as saying, writing music is 3% inspiration, 97% perspiration. So we have to take that creative fire that's in us, but then we have to sort of sometimes with great effort push it out. When we first wrote the aura book, we thought, oh, this book's going to write itself. I mean, Barbara's so many decades of doing it. It was 2 solid years of writing, because to get it in a format where it's just here, you do it yourself, it was like giving birth to a baby. I remember we spent a whole day just on the shape of the aura. We were drawing it on the wall with people and models, and I was wondering why the illustrators in the past weren't doing a very good job of depicting it. And I realized this is like Gray's Anatomy. The aura has a very specific anatomy, and it's not just, oh, I think I'll put whatever flourish I want. It has to look like what it is. We are multifaceted beings, so the aura is multifaceted.
Well, what kind of shapes does the aura have?
Well, that is really interesting, because some people think of the aura as kind of like a billows cloud that kind of just around us. And while there are energies that expand and contract, there are 3 basic shapes. There is like an auric shell, and we're going to be inhabiting one of those auric shells. Now, by far the most common is what's known as the rounded aura. It's slightly oval, but it's a rounded aura, and it's in the Auran evolution. So they sometimes call it the mixed aura, because it has beautiful enlightened colors, but also, not so bright colors in there. So it may mean that we're very kind and loving, but we kind of let people step all over us. Or the opposite. We're a go-getter, but we don't pay enough attention to people. And all those things will be reflected in this rounded aura. Now, if we make, unfortunately, every mistake in the book, and we really make the wrong turn in Albuquerque, and we hurt people, we're dishonest, and we maybe relish in it because we think we're getting away with things, you can degrade the aura to such a level that it literally becomes sort of squared. The energy becomes kind of choked, and there's now more dark light than bright light. In the 60s used to say, he's a square, she's a square. Well, that can actually happen. The problem with that aura is the things those people are doing are taking themselves further away from their spiritual source than towards it, and of course they're hurting others in the process. Then the third shape...
And it sounds like they're kind of compressed.
Yeah, it's a little compressed, and it's also can be there can be very violent energies, like storms kind of brewing in there. It's really not a good scenario. Yeah. And, there aren't fortunately, a lot of people with that type of aura. And by the way, they don't have to be a tyrant. It doesn't have to be the aura of a Hitler or something like that. There can be people of no notoriety that can still have this kind of an energy. But the ideal aura, the aura we're all aiming to have, is what's known as the pointed oval. It's pointed at the top, pointed at the bottom, and has this beautiful outer radiations. This is the enlightened aura. This means that the soul has learned its lessons, it's forged its spiritual metal, it corrected its faults, and now all the auric energies are beautifully organized, and it's an extremely bright aura. And, we're all going to have this aura, by the way. It's not if we're going to have it. We're all mystics in the making. It's just a matter of time. So what we tell people, your interest in these subjects is not accidental. It's the higher calling on you. It's your time to start this evolutionary process. Listen to that voice, because it can help you reach this enlightened state.
That's great. Does the aura record our life? I mean, I know that our history is recorded in the chakras and in the organs. Does the aura also carry our history in it as well?
Well, that's interesting. Certainly the effects of what you do. For example, if I've been haunted by a childhood trauma and it still bothers me, that will still show up in the energy field. But in the subconscious mind, which is part of the aura, is the actual memory pictures of everything that's happened in our life. And of course, in the fabric of life, the Akasha, there is an objective record of everything that's happened. Yes, our actions are being recorded in the fabric of life. So we want to be like Albert Schweitzer. We want to leave the footprints of love behind us, But it's okay. There's an expression, there was never a saint without a past or a sinner without a future. So we have to recognize we've done some things that are maybe not so wonderful, but we don't have to kind of identify ourselves as that. It was just a mistake, you know. So we want to get out of that. We are a precious child of God. That's the image we have to hold for ourselves and recognize that on the path, we and those around us will make mistakes, but those are just blemishes. For example, Barbara's taught that one strong outburst of anger, where you really get mad at somebody, it shoots out these dark red energies like a firecracker from the aura, and it can linger for 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's one outburst. So we got to be careful what we choose to express. I tell myself now, I don't have the luxury of an unenlightened emotion. Even if I feel right in this situation, if I get angry and upset, I have to clear out my energy field. I have to build it. What's the point? You know, we're living by the laws of spirit now. It's not the dog eat dog anymore. So we have to decide, are we going to take the high road or not? Now, it doesn't mean we're not dynamic, we don't stand up for ourselves, but it doesn't have to be in this lower energy way.
What about people? All right, so I know from my own client space, I will talk to someone about a past relationship that I am seeing in their body, but they say, oh, well, I'm over it. Do those kinds of things, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
do those kind of things show up in their auric field?
Well, you know, we can say something because we want it to be that way, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the way it is. The big one is forgiveness. You know, if someone has hurt us and we say we've forgiven them, but boy, we're still stewing about it, or mention their name and it still gets us all riled up, then we haven't really forgiven. But we're in the process of it. So yes, it would still be in the energy field, but when it's truly let go, which by the way, we can really let it go, then that dark energy is gone for good. We don't realize that, say, with forgiveness, we think, oh, I'm not going to let that person off the hook, what they did by forgiving them. That's not the story. The story is we're letting ourselves off the hook. There was a lady that survived the Nazi concentration camps, and there was a jailer that was particularly abusive of her. Now, we can't even begin to imagine what she must have experienced. And she became very religious afterwards, tried to forgive and all that for years. Well, it was about 15 years later, and there was some big public function, and who does she see there but him? He's there. And she recognizes him, and he recognizes her, and she said, the minute I saw him, all those memory pictures came back, and all I wanted to do was kill him on the spot. That was just the first gut reaction. But then all that good spiritual work she did came in a picture, and she said, wait a minute, I'm not that person anymore. So she walked up to him, and she said, took every bit of strength I had, and he knew who I was, and she said right to his face, I forgive you for everything you did to me. And she said, I meant it. Now, interestingly enough, her first report after that was relief. She said, this was the first time I felt real relief since it happened. So in her case, it took 15 years to let it go. But once she let it go, it was gone. And that means the energy of that disturbing thing is gone too. So she freed herself there. Now, he's going to have to work it out because there's karma, and that's another subject. But it doesn't have to involve her anymore. See, she let it go. So, yes, we have to remember these energies in us are changing, you know. So we decide, too many times we hold on to our grudges and our resentments. We cradle them, not realizing they're holding us in this situation. There was another woman from that similar experience of the concentration camps that said, I'll never forgive what happened. And her daughter says, you know, I haven't even seen my mom smile once. Forget laugh. I've never even seen her smile. Now, is that the way we want to live our life? You know, we have to choose what we're going to accept or not accept in our life. You know?
And so when we release these kinds of things that are holding us back, does that make more room for us to be and more room for us to live and experience?
And brighten our aura. It's hard to fill a cup that's already full. You know, so as in the nature abhors the vacuum. So as we let out some of the dark things that we've been stewing in, we're allowing more light. Now, we have to, though, bring the other in. So, for example, if I am trying to release anger from my aura, I can meditate with divine light to release that anger, but then I do have to bring something else in to replace it, either harmony or balance or love. because the energy has to go somewhere. I was directing a lot of power in this way. Okay, I'm not directing it there anymore, but where will I direct it? Okay, I'm going to direct it here to a more loving thing, and then that brings it. So it's not only a matter of releasing the old. It's just like what you're saying. You have to fill the cup with something else. And yes, let's fill it up with divine light. Let's fill it up with something that's going to make our life more beautiful.
That sounds really good. I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize that they need to make that room for themselves.
Right. You have to create. Well, it's like anything. If you're going to plant a garden, you don't have to make room for the plants. You have to till the soil. If it's already full, where are you going to plant things? So you have to kind of cultivate, make area. We tell this about meditation. The book is about the aura, but it's really also about meditating. But not meditating once in a while. Meditating daily. That's your time with God. Well, some people say, I don't have time to meditate. Well, organize your life a little differently. So we have to, if we want to live by the laws of spirit, we have to make room for that spirit presence in our life. We have to change things in our life. And as the light comes in your life, you may make certain discoveries. Let's say you've had certain friends and maybe they're sort of quote unquote fair weather friends. And as the light brings in more clarity, you realize, boy, these people really are not helping me. They've been actually kind of holding me back. And why haven't I been spending more time here? These are wonderful people. They're great friends, but I got enamored over here. So we're going to have to make some shifts arrangements, so that we are building. We want like-minded souls around us. We want those that are going to enhance our life and make things better. But we have to have the strength to make those changes.
Do you have to believe in God to believe in the aura or the healing that you can create for yourself?
Well, you don't have to believe in a religious interpretation of God, but you do have to recognize this is the divine light. It's not just floating in the atmosphere, It's coming from a divine source. But what I would say is if anyone has challenges with that, is try to separate humanity's conception of the divine with your own experience of it. Find the divine for you. Find what's sacred for you. Because we all have a one-on-one relationship with God, it's in truth. But that word God can instill a lot of different pictures. You have to find what it means for you. But yes, you have to realize this energy is coming from a source greater than ourselves, and that's why it's coming to us, so that we can improve and change ourselves. We are living in a sea of energy, so our energy field is constantly interacting with other energies. So when you have an exchange with somebody, when you're talking, let's say it's a very happy experience, there is an energetic exchange going on. Why is it sometimes when we have, let's say, a reunion with somebody, a great friend we haven't seen for a while or something, we just feel so good after it, because there was this beautiful exchange of energy. In the same way, let's say, somebody has a problem and you're feeling great, and shall we say they dump on you, and at the end of the session, they go, I feel so good, thank you for all that you did, and you're like ready to crawl into bed, exhausted, because they hold on your energy. So what we have to be careful is you do have to set boundaries, energetic boundaries, and we recommend working with the gold light of protection, so we aren't quite so vulnerable to the energetic flows. We're letting the good energy, but the ones that are a little bit disturbing or almost like usurping, we're rejecting that. And we're not just rejecting, we're saying, look, you don't need to get that from me. You can get it from your own higher self. Why are you pulling on my energy? Get it from your own higher self.
But it kind of sounds like you're talking about like an energy vampire.
Well, it can happen. Those things can happen, and they can happen very unintentionally. It's not like, I'm going to draw this energy from you because you've got good energy, so I'm going to stick my fangs in you. It doesn't have to be like that, but let's say unconsciously I'm feeling down and I see you kind of bubbly and perky. I'm going to be naturally attracted to you, which means I will maybe try to pull on that energy a little bit. So we just have to be careful. Remember, we stand at the door to our own consciousness. We will decide what we permit and what we do not, and we just have to exercise that right. So if you feel somebody's tugging on you in a healthy way, even without saying anything to them, you just have to refuse that energy. You know, in the book we have that illustration about two people fighting. If someone comes at you really angry and they want to, get in it with you, and you don't react to it, you're not only are you avoiding a fight, but you're not letting that angry energy that they're projecting, it's not going into your aura. But if you react, you say, well, you get angry back at them. Not only are you expressing your own anger, but you've allowed their anger to get into your aura. And that's why we can have these screaming matches, because it's like a ping pong game. One energy is bouncing off of the other until we're exhausted and can't do it anymore. Well, we don't have to live that way.
So it sounds like when someone else's energy, like your angry scenario, gets into our aura, they can kind of push our internal buttons, which will create a reaction in us.
Absolutely. Well, haven't we had that? Let's say we're feeling fine, and even if they're not pushing our buttons directly, someone comes in and starts talking about all their financial worries and issues, and after a while, you're starting to worry about money yourself, because it's pushing your buttons that weren't pushed up to that point. But now it's like, yeah, they got a point there. Oh my gosh, maybe my finances aren't as good as I think they are. Yeah, so you have to be careful there. You have to be careful that you don't permit that energy. At the same time, if there is a weak link, because people can't push buttons unless there is a weak link to push, So we told some people, our students, bless those that can push your buttons, because they're showing areas in your own consciousness that you have to work on. So if someone can get under my skin, yes, I have to release that energy, but at the same time to say, well, why did that happen? Okay, maybe I'm a little insecure here, and they pushed my insecure buttons. So I need to work on that. More confidence, which is the gold light. You can work with these energies to change all that.
In what you were saying a little bit earlier, it sounds like we have to take responsibility for the things that we create and the things that we experience in our daily lives.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you want to be the master or the victim of your own life? You're the decider. Recognition is half the battle. Once you realize where something needs to work, you're halfway there. But when there's this denial, be careful when you're constantly pointing the finger to other people. The problem is over there. You're the mess of my life. This. That's. Look back on yourself. Remember, we're not responsible for another soul. We're responsible for our own evolution. So look to perfect yourself rather than, the problems of others. Reading Gandhi's autobiography, it was so fascinating to see how he was very forgiving with other people's mistakes, but very relentless with his own faults. If he saw a fault in himself, he really worked on it. We tend to be the other way. We're very forgiving with our own faults, not quick to point the finger. So work on your own character, and you'll notice these other things just won't bother you so much.
I have noticed that a lot of people feel very uncomfortable when they start taking responsibility for themselves, for their time, for what's going on with them, because they feel like they need to take care of everyone else around them, or their thoughts and their feelings are more important than something that I might think and I feel. Does that come from the aura as well?
Well, we have to realize, again, we are responsible for ourselves. Now, taking responsibility for yourself is an empowerment. You're saying, I'm not a victim in this situation. I'm responsible for my actions, and I hold to those responsibilities. So that actually creates a dynamic energy. Now, if we're starting to feel like we're responsible for other people, then we're kind of overstepping those bounds a little. So we do have to say, okay, I'm willing to give a helping hand here, but I'm not responsible for their situation. Even if we see the mistake and we know what maybe is the best way to handle it, we have to remember that everybody's learning their lesson. It's far better to make your own decision, even if it's the wrong one, than to blindly accept the decision of somebody else, even if it's the right one. Because we're not using our own mind. We're not using our own free will. We're just saying, tell me what to do and I'll do it. Well, even if it's the right thing, that's making you stronger, not making me. It's like if you do my homework in school all the time, even if I get straight A's, it's you getting straight A's, not me. I can't do my math because I have to go to you now for everything. I haven't really learned. So we have to realize that people need to be in their own space, working things out, and we need to be patient with people. If someone's learning a lesson, they may not always get it. My father is a practicing psychiatrist for many years, and he said the biggest mistake I made when I first started was I would sometimes see a problem, and I would just say what it is. And often the patient would get angry. Well, wait a minute, why are you getting angry? Because they are not seeing it for themselves. And he said sometimes it took many years to come to that recognition. But guess what? It's many years well spent. It can be easy for me to see maybe a fault in someone else more than my own. You may be able to see a fault in me much clearer than I can see it. But until I see it for myself, it's meaningless. When people come to Barbara and say, can you tell me what my life purpose is? It's not her place to do that, even if it's shining in the aura, because it won't have any meaning coming from someone else. You have to discover it. There's an ancient axiom that teaches the seeking of the philosopher's stone sets the condition to find it. So it's the seeking of these riddles of our life that is creating a transformation that's actually making it happen. Now, what someone can do, let's say like a Barbara that can see the aura, is give you insight into situations. Like, for example, there was a woman that was in love with two men. She didn't know which one to marry, and one was kind of the older, more secure, the other kind of the more Romeo type, but she felt she was in both. Now, Barbara didn't say go here or go there, but by getting an idea of their energy a little bit, she could make her own decision. In her case, she realized the younger one was just a passion thing. It wasn't real love, that she really did love the older one, and married him and had a wonderful marriage, So we have to make our own decisions, but yes, sometimes getting these energetic insights can help.
Great. Thank you for watching this portion of our interview with Dimitri Moraitis. If you're enjoying today's program, please click on the button below and subscribe to our channel. If you want to hear this interview in its entirety, become a Just Energy Radio insider at justenergyradio.com and gain access to full shows commercial-free and our over 9 years of show archives. Don't forget to share this show with your friends on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And until next time, I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and remember, it's all just energy.